Hey, Spacebound. Hey, Susie. Why did you have a feeling that I'd come on? Did you watch what should I call it, the shit show? When the boohoo mama said, with all due respect, Mensa. Did you see it? Did you see her reveal her true colors? And I'll tell you, when she got her little inner rage ruffled was when she was absolutely wrong about what she was saying about the public stage. She didn't like it that she was wrong. Oh, I didn't see it yet, Susie. She is one of the most passive aggressive, in my opinion, one of the most passive aggressive bullshit stirrers and abusers that I've seen in the last 3 years. Her shtick or her role or her, what would you call it, her act is that she has all this professional experience and she knows everything, but she doesn't. She talks bullshit over and over again. And nobody wants to ever challenge her on her bullshit because she comes through, with this, oh, we should care about everybody. And then, poof, her bitch comes out. And I titled this live chat, You Can't Fix Stupid, because she was too stupid to be able to read those comments when I was listing off the examples of what the scumbag attackers have been doing for the last 3 years. And then she does the, with all due respect, Mensa, don't make this about you. Well, guess what, sweet cheeks? You do nothing but make everything about you with your constant reference to your supposed career, to your supposed knowledge. You're wrong. And a lot of people are talking about it and have been talking about it about every time you post anything online or take part in any panel. You're as transparent as hell. And unfortunately, she is yet one more that Natasha chooses to surround herself with. And then Natasha wants to sit there and go, I don't know why they're attacking me. And I would just want to ask this question. Do you really believe that anybody is attacking Natasha? Do you really believe that anybody is really attacking AD? Do you really believe that all these channels keep fighting with each other? Do you really believe that channels were taken down? Do you believe that anybody ever actually discussed the case of Christopher Watts? Honestly, from the heart, stating their own opinions? That Crafton and Kim channel, who are not my favorite people, they've spent plenty of time with the negative bullshit, that they had a good video that they posted tonight showing how easy it is for people to create their own screenshots, to create their own quote unquote receipts. It's all a farce. All of it. So all the people talking about suing people for defamation, which is what the boohoo trauma expert self-proclaimed was trying to act like she knew something about. If they're basing their claims on screenshots, then they should know that screenshots probably aren't worth diddle squat. We've known this for 3 years, that the scumbag attackers create one fake profile after another. And then they post all sorts of smack using the fake profiles, and then they take screenshots. And then they run around saying, look at what she said. This has been going on for 3 years. And Natasha's supposedly surprised about it? Really? She's supposedly has hurt feelings about it? Really? They supposedly have a clue at all what they're talking about? Really? Because the boo-hoo trauma expert, self-proclaimed, her little display of passive-aggressive bitchitis was very telling. Yes, it's all an act, Susie, all of it. They're not discussing the case, and they're trying to make damn sure that nobody else is discussing the case either. They're trying to promote fear. They're trying to normalize harassment. Elena says she's there at all times, night or day. Are you talking about the boo-hoo trauma expert self-proclaimed? Because I notice anytime Natasha needs to take a phone call or whatever she's doing, that right away, poof, the boo-hoo trauma expert self-proclaimed hops right up there and acts like she's bringing some real wisdom to the place, right? With all due respect, don't make it about you. Boy, coming from somebody who makes it all about herself constantly, but seems to get it wrong. If any of you actually have an education in any of the, psychology, sociology, whatever, watch her for 5 minutes. Listen to her for 5 minutes. Sorry. And if you're in one of the helping professions, or if you want to run around saying that you care or that you understand trauma, then obviously you don't lose your temper on a panel over nothing except your own ignorance and arrogance. She did not like seeing the comments, which clearly showed that she didn't have a clue what she was talking about. Which tells me, and again, this is all my opinion, she's nothing but a farce, nothing but a fraud, nothing but a fake. A total fake. They're like little actors and actresses trying to adopt a role, right? And they make claims. Look at the guacamole. Look at her claims. At first, she was calling herself a licensed and certified advocate. Really? Yes, they are, Susie. When Robbie sat up there saying, "You're a liar, Mensa," coming from him, I take that as a total compliment. Because if Robbie thinks I'm a liar, well, that's just affirming it, I would say, for my character and reputation. Because we all know what he's made of. We've all seen what he's made of. We've watched for 3 years straight. And some people probably even longer. It's not that hard to see. It really isn't. I wonder if they have like a secret little listing, scumbag attacker for hire, 3 years acting experience, 5 years acting experience, professional scumbag attacker, will work for pay. I wonder if they say, hey, I want to get my friends involved too. This is easy money. Maybe, if you think about it, Maybe they're all on disability and they're all saying to each other, hey, you can supplement your income. I'll show you how. All this time we've been talking about the MLMs. I wonder, what was Christopher Watt's wife really doing on social media all week long? Susie said, oh, I've heard worse than that from her not long ago. Sandy says, it's really wild. I don't have the words anymore. It's the same thing, different day. Exactly. Exactly right. And they're as fake as the day is long, over and over again. And I have said a lot of nice things about Natasha, but after witnessing what I just saw tonight, nope, not again. Not again. In my opinion, Natasha just showed her true colors. And I was already leaning that way, not just because of all the emails that I've been receiving, but the way she encourages Robbie. Susie says, glad you've come to your senses. LOL, lots of love. Finally, right? It took a fraud, fake, phony Phoebe. That's what I'll call her, phony Phoebe. It took a phony Phoebe for me to really see. I've already seen through her crap because anytime she talks, I think, oh, brother. Which Cracker Jack box did she get that from? But she showed with her behavior tonight, she shined the light on Natasha's true character. Miss Mansa, with all due respect, I've been getting attacked for 3 years. Really? I don't remember seeing any videos with a bloody butcher knife leaning up against your 8x10 glossy, honey. Just a minute, Mensa, with all due respect, this isn't about you. Don't make it about you. You always make it about you. Well, I was listing off examples of what the scumbag attackers do to everybody they're attacking. With all of my experience, I know when celebrities, oh yeah, right, when celebrities are being defamed, because we're on the public stage. Right. If you actually do have experience, then it seems to me by now in your career, as illustrious as it surely must have been, that you would have at some point learned the definition of the public stage. Oops, sorry. Exposing the fact that you're a phony Phoebe? Sorry about that. Didn't mean to. And there go the hound dogs barking after you, MM. You notice that, though, how they all have these illustrious careers, right? Yet they're on YouTube 24/7. Kind of makes you wonder when they ever take part in any of their career. I mean, there is even a dental hygienist who can somehow clean teeth and hang out on the internet 24/7 at the same time. This reminds me of a time with the mister. You know who I mean. He was explaining all about the 35C, and he was wrong, like very wrong. But he was explaining it like he knew what he was talking about. And I put a little comment there saying, well, actually, the 35C, blah, blah, blah. He didn't say, oh, I didn't know that. He didn't say, well, I'm just a dipshit trying to pretend like I know it. Well, he wouldn't have said that anyway. He didn't say, well, that isn't my understanding. This is what I was thinking, or whatever. He did not take part in adulting. And I don't mean adultery for all those scumbag attackers accusing me all the time of cheating. I'm saying adulting. You know, being able to be an adult, being able to take part in a discussion. No, he got pissed. And his big whammy reply was that he knows that he's right because he spoke with lawyers who explained it to him. Oh, well then. They all want to try to act like they know something. Yes, the nurses, how many of them? How many of them claim to be nurses? I love this. I love the name that you chose, random, especially when you're throwing out such a random question. They want to bring, I think, their channels to the forefront as if they have expertise, right? As if they know what they're talking about. And we saw it with the very first video that Guacamole posted that everybody lined up to cheer her on for, right? She's claiming she's a victim advocate. And in fact, by her own behavior, she proved to us that she isn't. Liliana says, Miss Mensa, may I ask your thoughts on the Watts Shannon trip to New Orleans? Blah, 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 blah. Are you talking about the leopard dress? It must have been the leopard print, or it must have been the leopard dress. Hey, Susie, take a look at Random's last comment. Oh, we've discussed that before, haven't we? That's funny. The same template, the same playbook, the same scripts over and over again for 3 years straight. The same tactics. You know, we were talking the other day about what other channels you can trust. Well, those who are calling themselves true crime channels, who are pretending to discuss the case of Christopher Watts, I'll say the short list again of those you can trust, in my opinion. I think you can trust anything and everything that Set the Record Straight puts online. I think you can trust thought-provoking videos. And I think you can trust Gloria. Anybody beyond that? I don't think so. Susie, take a look at Random's last comment too. I wonder if they just, I guess when they recruit new people, if they just say, here, start off with these scripts. I'm not sure. Here's another one. Oh my goodness. I just blocked her, Susie. Or it, I should say. I think Random will be more fun to play with, but the Veronica one just got booted. Oh my gosh. Oh, I had a good nap. This might be fun. Random says, huh? Script? No, I must be missing something. Hurry, Random. I want you to type something really quick. Are you ready? Get your fingers ready. This is a test, and I want you to hit enter, post it in chat right away after I ask the question, okay? Because I want to make sure you don't have time to look up the answer. Okay, Random, are you ready? Tell me when you're ready. The answer will be one word, and I'm going to give you the count of 3 to answer it and hit enter, okay? So tell me when you're ready. Okay, Random is ready. Here's the question. Please spell, it's not really a question, it's an exercise. Please spell the name Shanann. 1, 2, 3. Somebody's looking up how to spell the name Shanann. Look at Susie. We know that the first batch of scripts, when they get a new recruit, misspells the name exactly that way, Random. Exactly that way. Oh, that was good. Sorry, Random. We don't let scumbag attackers up on the panel anymore. We learned over time. That was funny. I even helped by pronouncing it that weird way that she pronounced it. No, she did. Or it did. That was the second comment. Oh. That's funny. So, do you guys remember how we've talked before about how when the case first came out, within a couple of weeks, there was a book printed that said that Christopher Watt's wife was a retired nurse? And do you remember how actual nurses were offended by all that bullshit? And do you remember how we've talked with people who actually do have lupus, who are offended by some of the details of this case? And do you remember how people who actually have struggled with fertility issues are sharing with us how they're offended by this case, some of the details of this case. Well, I could tell you, that whole trauma routine is offensive. She showed her true colors tonight. She showed her own abusive tendencies, in my opinion. And I'm talking about the phony Phoebe. Her little passive aggressive bullshit showed that if she is in any way truly dealing with any sort of a traumatic episode, that she isn't exactly acting the part. Another fake, another phony. And in my opinion, not only fake and phony, but also very stupid. Which is why I titled this video, You Can't Fix Stupid. I think whoever organized the harassment and hate campaigns that have been going on for 3 years straight, I think whoever was in charge of organizing it decided to go the cheap route. Instead of hiring gangs that actually had a couple of brain cells they could rub together, I think they decided to go the discount route. I think they thought, hey, let's save a few bucks. And 3 years later, I think it's long ago been shown and proven even that they made a mistake going the discount route. She is very aggressive, Susie, very aggressive, which is not at all in alignment with her claims. Liliana, I have no clue when she would have ever needed fertility treatments, because a fertility doctor is not going to take part in any fertility treatments for somebody who's been married 4 months. Oh, wait, I think they had to file bankruptcy because of fertility treatments, right? I forgot. Susie says another one that thinks she gets a pass for her behavior due to a trauma. Well, by posting trauma, then in YouTube world, it's supposed to somehow help insulate you from having anybody ever talk about you. Hey, happy Angie, I haven't seen you in a long time. Elena said, did she go? Did she go where? To the fertility doctor or to JCP and Macy's? Or do you mean the random one? The random one I finally blocked because I kept filling the comment threads with the scripts. Liliana says, do you think that's why Cindy was not told about the DNA? Because they are not the paternal grandparents. That's a good question, Liliana. I think a lot of us here have differing opinions on that issue. So let's do a little quickie poll. Pregnant? Yes or no? Yes is 1, no is 2. Pregnant? Yes or no? If pregnant, was CW believing that he was the father? Number 1, yes. Number 2, no. One and a half. Way to fence ride. I like that. 3, I think she had a miscarriage. Ooh. So that would be a no, or that would be a yes, pregnant, but then lost it. Liliana, we don't use names. If you can edit that comment or delete it, one or the other, that'd be great. That's okay. We won't block you just yet. I think there's something mighty fishy about somebody who is saying she's pregnant, who claims that she's spotting and cramping, but that she won't go for medical help because she was out of network for the insurance. I think there's something very fishy about that story. Hey, Christy. Something very, very fishy. As in, maybe she was just trying to set it up so that Christopher Watts would think that she was losing it. I don't know. Here's a question for you. Think about this. What if she was actually supposed to be staying in North Carolina? What if Christopher Watts was actually flying to North Carolina simply to pick up the children? Have you ever thought of that? What if the plan all along was for Christopher Watts to fly into North Carolina to just pick up Bella and Cece? Think about it. He was already moving on with his life, right? And look at the house. It's not exactly looking like anybody was living there with kids, right? Were they already supposed to be getting out of the house? Were they already losing it and we just don't know it? What if? What if? What if her father chaperoned her and the girls on the flight to North Carolina? And remember, the people who have been the people who have been contacting me insist that there was an open CPS case in North Carolina, that the trip was approved only when North Carolina said yes to monitoring the case. Okay? What if the case actually got transferred? What if the case got transferred? What if she was supposed to stay in North Carolina and live under her mother's roof, and Christopher Watts was actually heading to North Carolina simply to pick up Bella and Cece? What if? Exactly. Take a look at the house. It was empty. It was bare. And what do good real estate brokers tell their clients? Clear it all out. Stage it. It's called staging the home for sale. You know, right away I noticed there's no refrigerator art. What's that about? Well, when you're an experienced real estate broker, you know that you tell your clients, clear it all out. If it's a couple who doesn't have children, they don't want to see refrigerator art. It does not help to sell the house to have refrigerator art at all. So what if? What if they were already moving out of the house? What if Christopher Watts' wife was supposed to stay in North Carolina? Elena says, I always wonder how you detect these people. You mean the scumbag attackers? Oops, Sandy's brain is doing flip-flops now. Or not flip-flops, just doing flips. She's got some mental gymnastics going on. Think about it, though. It could be, right? Of course, we'll never know the truth, we've been told, because they don't tell people like us, which only leaves us to think, wow, so we're being lied to? Well, if we're going to be lied to, I guess, repeatedly, then we'll go ahead and start trying to figure it out ourselves, right? What if the marriage was already over? What if custody was already decided? What if the only reason Christopher Watts went to North Carolina was to pick up the children? It would make a little more sense about the whole nut meltdown now, wouldn't it? If she flew to North Carolina knowing that her marriage was over, if she flew there knowing that she had to live in North Carolina from that point forward, knowing that that was it for her seeing the house, knowing that her life as she knew it was over, right? And then she's hanging out with her mother-in-law, confiding many deep and very dark secrets to her mother-in-law just hours before her nut meltdown. Maybe thinking to herself, this is bullshit. Her kids are going to be able to stay right at her mother-in-law's house without her being able to control everyone. So maybe the nut meltdown was in part an attempt to try to make it where the kids wouldn't be able or allowed to be around their paternal grandparents. What if her time in North Carolina was the beginning of her new life without her stage out in Colorado? And then she decided that she was going to try one more time to change the outcome. So she decided to order a book for her husband, to fix him. Do you remember her comments? She said that when she tried to talk to him about the relationship, that all he would do is say he wasn't going to lose the girls. Do you remember when she asked her husband, would you stay with me if we didn't have kids? Elena, they're very easy to spot. And I usually give them enough time to convince me, which random actually was pretty convincing with the first comment. Exactly, Susie. Who says that? Would you stay with me if we didn't have kids? Every time I try to talk to him about the relationship, he says he is not going to lose the children. Yes, Susie. According to the hairstylist, she was getting divorced and looking forward to being single again. Hi, Star Mama. I think the marriage was over December of 2017. I actually think, I used to say that. I used to think that. And I agree. The marriage, in my opinion, was over definitely at that point. But I think the marriage was over when she was pregnant with Bella, 32 weeks along, and something happened because all of a sudden she stopped posting on the blog that she had going for the pregnancy. And remember, there were a couple of court hearings coming up. And one of the family members said it was for one of the hearings was for an ongoing family matter. Maybe the time that she spent in North Carolina, she decided, I don't like this outcome. Maybe she decided she was going to try to change the outcome. And maybe by the time she decided that, it was way too late. And I'm not trying to throw any shade on the girlfriend because I don't think the girlfriend was adultery per se. I think the girlfriend was a sign that he honestly believed that marriage was already long over. Star Mama says, I think all family members, both sides, knew she had mental issues and needed more help than she was getting, but they all waited too long to step in. But think about it. What if the North Carolina trip was actually supposed to be the end of the marriage? Liliana says, it looks like the one in North Carolina didn't want to leave his wife. I highly doubt that he ever wanted to leave his wife or that he ever had the same feelings for her as she may have had for him. I think delusional might be a good word to describe Christopher Watt's wife at times. And that example might be another good one for the word delusional. Back to the offensive, passive-aggressive, phony Phoebe. You know how the nurses feel, right, about this case. You know how people who actually do have lupus feel about this case. People with fertility issues, people with any autoimmune, right? People who are truly gluten intolerant. People who actually are raising their children. People who actually do have careers. People who actually do work hard and are successful, right? Well, the same is true for the scumbag attackers. Not for them feeling offended, but the offenses that they commit when they call themselves advocates, when they claim that they're intelligent in some cases, when they claim that they're writers, when they claim that they're mediators, when they claim that they're some sort of an expert on trauma. Excuse me? If you're an expert on trauma, you might want to dig out your old books and read up on it a little bit. Phony Phoebe. Ooh, Liliana, I hadn't thought about that. Good point. Yeah, Susie, here we go again. Black Caddy thinks he had mental issues and the stress of family life made him snap and live in fantasy land with another woman. The stress of family life made him snap? He had a 5-week vacation. And he didn't appear to be the one who was stressed about the children. Did you see the video where he's sitting on the floor with the girls playing some sort of a board game? And she was sitting on the sofa talking about herself into her phone. And the kids were just they were being very well behaved, and they were being normal kids. And I think one of them laughed or something. And she had to get up off that sofa and go outside. She evidently didn't like the noise of her own children. Yes, Star Mama, it happens every time. Liliana says, new houses do not come with lock and key on bedroom doors. They come with passage locks. Why the locks on the doors? Well, in one of the videos, the friend said on the phone that the lock that they had on the front door was so that Cece wouldn't escape. The word escape was used. I thought that was interesting. And why on earth would they have locked in 2 little girls into their bedrooms? Why? Why the cameras? Why the monitors? Why all of the locks? And why, when she said she was going to leave the girls napping and run to the post office, didn't anybody say, are you kidding me? How can you be serious? Why, when she said that she gave the girls lots of Tylenol, didn't anybody say, are you kidding me? You can't be serious. So think about that. We'll talk more about it in other live chats, but think about it. What if the trip to North Carolina was actually the final separation? The end of the marriage? That kind of puts Christopher Watts in a different light, doesn't it? So if his soon-to-be ex-wife got on the plane with her father, and Christopher Watts felt secure that the kids were going to be with his father-in-law, who he trusted completely, and it was his job to continue working and to find a place for him and his 2 children, and he thought that the marriage was over at that point, then it makes sense that he's doinking a coworker. Sorry, it does. What, he never cheated on her in all those years? And then all of a sudden he's going to cheat on her? Yeah, okay. And keep in mind, right around the same point of his first date with his coworker, she was telling a hairstylist that she was getting divorced and looking forward to being single again. The rain machines, the darkened rooms, the locks on the doors. I'm sorry, if your child has asthma, the last thing you're going to do is lock them in their bedroom. Because if the child has an asthma attack, then how are you going to know it? How are you going to know it? If the child wakes up and has difficulty breathing, how are you going to know? By the little monitor that you claim that you carry with you everywhere? If your child truly has asthma, you're not locking them in their room. You're also not putting blankets and pillows in their beds. Not those blankets and pillows. And if your child truly has asthma and you walk in and you see their faces covered with a heavy blanket, you're not taking a picture. Exactly. If your child truly has asthma, you're not giving them lots of Tylenol. If your child truly has asthma, then the first doctor who would have examined them probably would have known it. Star Mama says, is that why they had pull-ups on? Did Bella have a pull-up on at her age? Black Caddy, there are a lot of people who think that at that point, when he gave that interview on the porch, that he was not aware of what happened. I don't know what I think about that. I didn't know that Bella had pull-ups on. Are you talking about Bella too, Star Mama? Yes, Happy Angie, he's a ginormous liar. Unless he's saying something that they want to hear, then we're supposed to believe it. They were both wearing pull-ups. And remember, the water was out of the toilet in the upstairs bath, right? Black Caddy says, I don't believe she told him that he would never see the kids again, like he told investigators in jail. I believe it. But of course, in my opinion, it's possible that he didn't kill anybody. Happy Andrew says, I'm certain it came out of her mouth at some point. Cindy Watts told me that the last words he remembers her saying were that she was going to make him pay for this and that he would never see the girls again. Yeah, I believe she said it too, Susie. And remember, she had a very black and white, all or nothing mentality going on. Cindy Watts was attempting to murder Cece, according to her. And she said to her that she would never, the children would never step foot in her house again. Even accusing her mother in law of trying to murder the child, right? It's all black or white, all or nothing. So, what's the truth? What's the truth? Christopher Watts tells 3 different stories, and we're supposed to believe pieces and parts. I'll tell you what I think the truth is. I think the truth is if you follow along all of those Set the Record Straight videos, in my opinion, that's the truth of what happened. I think Set the Record Straight nailed it every step of the way. I think there were a lot of people who were very much aware of problems going on for many years. Okay, at the risk of sounding like I'm turning into a Natasha, a very comfortable recliner. So here's a heads up. If I start snoring, well, what can we do? Well, if I start snoring, you'll get a good laugh. Star Mama says, I think CW is suffering from guilt because he didn't get the girls away soon enough. he blames himself. I think he's also suffering from guilt because that's what spouses often do when anything bad happens. Spouses who are being abused, that is. They've been conditioned for years to blame themselves, to take responsibility for anything bad. And sometimes it takes many years for them to realize that what happened wasn't their fault, that it's not their job to try to keep their abuser happy. Happy Angie says, I'm doing night shift. $50 if you stay on till 5 a.m. Oh my goodness. That's cute, Happy Angie. Not going to happen. I'll tell you right now, not going to happen. Liliana is saying, what's your safe word? Yes, it is. We are up in the middle of the night, but I did have a good nap earlier, so here I am. And then I just went and took a peek at the Natasha channel, and I thought, well, you little bitch. And I don't mean Natasha, though I think Natasha was a bitch tonight, too. And that's all part of the whole script, right? Boo hoo, boo hoo. And then poof, they're a bitch. And then poof, well, they were just upset. With all due respect. Well, if you want to say with all due respect, then mean it. Safe word, Bob. Love it. Why do you think CW loaded a cooler and blankets in the Lexus on Tuesday? Good question, Liliana. There you go. Maybe they were going on a picnic. How many years do you think it'll be before he files an appeal? Good point, Star Mama, that he is like doing the self-punishing thing. That he feels he doesn't deserve, right? I think with him being a male, that's another layer to it too, because I think he feels with his religious upbringing, with the religious teachings from when he was younger, that it was somehow his responsibility, right? I also think that he desperately needs, on a deep psychological level, he desperately needs to be able to believe the official narrative. Because if you look at the set the record straight narrative, then what would that do to a Christian husband who felt helpless? Right? What is he going to be thinking? Because remember, his religious teachings would have been that his wife's connection would be through him. They were way over their heads in debt, but I don't think Christopher Watts knew how far in debt they were. I don't think he had a clue. I think he actually bought into the story that she made money. Susie says, I think out of guilt. I think it's out of conditioning. And I don't mean from his childhood at all. I mean from the time that he met her. I think he was conditioned to believe that he was less than. Not deserving, not man enough or something. Star Mama says, I wish Straight would put his videos back up. He has so much proof about details of the case. He also has a lot of proof about the scumbag attackers, too, that was very interesting, and it's good information for people to be able to see. That way, when they see another phony Phoebe hopping up on panel and then lashing out when she wasn't even on point. She evidently has a reading comprehension issue going on. Yes, it does make you laugh when people say that she had to take over and run the show. He was the one who actually knew how to manage money and also how to go to work and get a paycheck. He had that down pat, no problem, because he grew up watching his parents, both his mom and his dad, both going to work and earning money and paying their bills. Sandy makes a really good point about the financial abuse that was going on. Sandy says, I think him not being allowed any access to their accounts was just another abusive tactic. Financial abuse is all part of the package. And even keeping the family broke is another symptom of abuse. When she didn't make those house payments, it wasn't her housing credit that was getting ruined. When she didn't pay the HOA dues, it wasn't her housing credit that was getting ruined. How sad is that, to be sabotaging your spouse's housing credit history? I mean, what a depressing existence. Yes, power and control, Susie. It's all about power and control. And I think that leading up to the tragedy, she was realizing that she was losing all power and control in her life. But think about it. What if that little stint in North Carolina was actually the beginning of her new life? And then she changed her mind and didn't go along with the plan. What if? Take a look at the narrative that we're being told over and over again. Oh, they had such a wonderful marriage. Oh, they were happy. She had no idea anything was wrong. And remember at first how we were told he was sleeping with random people on whatever that, what was it, Tinder dates or something? And isn't it interesting who those people who were making false allegations about Christopher Watts, isn't it interesting who they know and who they're connected to? Christopher Watts was such a bad person because they had it so good. And then he ruined everything because he fell in love with a coworker and decided, yeah, he'll just delete the fam. He'll just delete the fam and move on with his life. Oh, come on. What if his family was already torn apart by year after year after year of him trying to simply keep his children safe? Yeah, what happened to those fees that were mailed to the wrong address? Exactly. And at the time of the tragedy, the fees were only $52 per month. But we're told that the proposed judgment against them, that was going to be heard shortly after the tragedy occurred, was actually in excess of $1,500. So what that tells me is 2.5 years of not paying the HOA dues, 2.5 years of mailing the payment to the wrong address. Exactly, Star Mama. She was the one who locked him out in the winter with no shoes, no car keys, no wallet. If a man did that, they would have gone to jail. Exactly. So now let's shift the narrative and say, wow, this guy married a person without knowing her very well. And they got married, and he thought that she had a good income. He thought she had some equity in the house. He thought that she was going to become a nurse. I think she boasted that she was going to have a 4-year nursing degree in just 2 years. So the woman he married, he thought, was going to actually have a job. The woman he married, he thought, actually did have some financial success going on. He buys the house on his own in Colorado, and he soon learns that maybe he had been lied to. Poof, she got pregnant. Probably right around the same time that he was thinking, oh my God, what have I gotten into? How is he going to leave then? She's pregnant. He already signed on the dotted line for the house. So he's thinking, well, maybe she isn't really as unstable as she may have seemed at times. But then maybe she was. But she was pregnant. So what would he be doing? He would probably be doing whatever he could to make sure she wasn't getting upset. And then after the baby was born, he was probably counting down the days until the baby was a little bit older to go ahead and divorce her. But I think he was surrounded by people who tried to convince him that he would never stand a chance at getting custody. And since he didn't have the habit of sharing with his family and friends what was going on behind closed doors, he wouldn't have had anybody telling him any differently. So he probably was just hoping that he wouldn't do anything or say anything that might upset her. And then poof, she got pregnant again when the baby was just 10 months old. And there he was, probably doing whatever he could do to make sure that he didn't say or do anything at all that might upset her. The second baby was born in July of 2015, just 1 month after they filed for a full bankruptcy to walk away from over $70,000 in unsecured debt. The baby was born in July of 2015, just 1 month before the bankruptcy was magically granted within just 2 months. And then just months later, September, October, November, December, January, 5-6 months later, his wife started posting from Indiana as if she was involved with some sort of outpatient therapy at the hospital on a daily basis for over a month. So, what would he do? He would probably be taking care of the kids and hoping that she got the help she needed, right? And then maybe after she came back from Indiana, maybe things were okay for a little while. Except then the girls started to get sick all the time. You do realize that, right? The timeline? Before she posted that she was heading to the hospital on a daily basis in Indiana for over a month in the spring of 2016, the girls were not sick all the time. Did you know that? But when she came back, or I should say, when she stopped posting as if she was attending some sort of outpatient therapy in Indiana at the hospital on a daily basis for over a month in the spring of 2016, all of a sudden, both kids are sick again. Both kids are sick again. I wonder if he was already leaving her at that point. And then the kids were sick. Oh my goodness, they were sick all the time. Oh my goodness. Was she trying to convince him that he really couldn't hack it on his own because the kids needed so much medical attention? Don't you think it's interesting that in March of 2018, when he discovered that she had stopped making the house payments for at least 3 months, that suddenly it became her number one priority to find a surgeon to perform surgery on both children on the same day? Wasn't that right around the time that she was questioning a lawyer all about custody and whether or not the custodial parent would be able to move out of state with the children? Did Christopher Watts tell her that he planned on relocating to North Carolina when they split? Kind of curious, huh? Did she have some sort of a breakdown? Is that why she planned to spend 5 weeks straight in North Carolina? Did she need to have direct supervision? Could it be that her behavior in front of Cindy Watts, what was it, on July 8th, I think, of 2018? Could it be that that was her normal behavior? But it just so happened to be the first time that she acted that way in front of Cindy? Could it be that that's how she acted behind closed doors with Christopher Watts? Did she spend very much of their marriage saying, "You tried to murder her"? Or freaking out about whether or not there were pistachio nuts in a bag on a shelf? Remember, she said that she saw a house full of razor blades. There were razor blades laying all over the house, according to her, or according to what she told one of her family members, anyway, or according to what the family member is claiming she told her. If she was seeing razor blades laying all over the house, she needed help. Could it be that that was Christopher Watts' normal day? Did he come home, change his clothes, hop into the Lexus, drive to the daycare center, pick up the girls, and then walk in the door to a woman who was saying, "Look at that. There are razor blades laying all over the house"? Could that explain the locks on the bedroom doors? Could it be that it wasn't about keeping the girls in as much as it may have been to keep his wife out? I mean, the guy had to sleep at some point, right? Okay, it's looking like it's 2:47 a.m., so let's go until 3. Any questions? And feel free to ask questions about any other cases too, because that's the cool thing about true crime cases. There are many true crime cases that are a lot more interesting than the case of Christopher Watts. I think any of the scumbag attackers who are lurking in the background, I think you guys should come to the front and ask a few questions. I haven't been watching the Robert Durst trial. I think I watched about 5 minutes of it. That was it. I'm surprised that that's even going on. Didn't that happen so many years ago? Hey, Private Pirate. Okay, Private Pirate has a question. Yes, it is a freaking circus. Is that the Robert Durst trial? Or the phony Phoebes? What? I don't get that, Susie. Somebody's lurking as the height of conversation just now. I don't know what that means. Sandy says both. Both the phony Phoebes and the Robert Durst trial. Okay, here's Crystal, aka what? BGSS Crystal. Do you think Darlie is guilty? I am back to saying innocent. Nope, she's guilty. Guilty as sin. Private Pirate says, did you see the comment I left on your stream earlier? I've never heard you say you may have been attacked because you are the go-to Darlie person. I didn't see the comment that you left on the stream earlier, no. I think that's part of how they targeted me, was because I think they were searching for true crimers that might have a clue about seeing through their bullshit. Susie says, I will email when you come off. Okay, that sounds good. And Susie says, I found that so interesting about Darlie earlier. Yeah, the Darlie Routier case is a good one to discuss. It's a very interesting case. I just saw your other email, Susie. You're exactly right. Exactly right. I agree completely. Crystal says, oops. Something weird's happening with my computer. Hold on. What the heck? That was weird. Crystal says, my grandson gave me my YouTube name so I wouldn't get kidnapped. It has worked so far. Private Pirate says, but what you were saying made me think they attacked you because you weren't afraid to say the mother did it. And I have written quite a few true crime books on cases where the mother killed the children. So good eye, Private Pirate. Good eye. In fact, at one point, the wiki entry on Darlie Routier actually cited one of my Darlie books about mothers who murder their children. Okay, 8 more minutes. Come on, scumbag attackers, jump in and ask a question. Now watch, the phony Phoebe's going to say, "Oh, I was triggered. I was triggered. I used to be so famous. I used to have such an illustrious career working with celebrities. And I know everything about drama. But the first chance I get at being a bitch to someone, boy, am I ever going to take it. Because I'm not really a trauma expert after all. I tell people that I want everyone to get along, but that doesn't apply to me. Not when I can hop up on Natasha's channel and piss people off right and left." Phony Phoebe. That's what we'll call her, Phony Phoebe. Crystal asks, "Do you have a theory on why she killed the two but not the baby?" My theory is that the baby was safe up in the crib, up in the master bedroom with her husband, Darren. She was sleeping on the sofa, and Devin and Damon were sleeping on the floor within inches of her. I think that when she killed them, she was actually stabbing in her mind her stepfather, who she claimed under oath had started sexually abusing her when she was 8 years old. While she was stabbing them, I don't think she knew she was stabbing her children. I think she was in some kind of a strange PTSD trigger nightmare that she was being attacked as a child. And if you pay attention to her written statement, also, she says something like when she opened her eyes, she saw him standing there, him being the intruder that she claimed was there. She saw him standing there at her feet, walking away from her. Okay? She said he was wearing a baseball cap and jeans, I think, and a t-shirt. I don't know, but if you're going to claim that there's an intruder who broke in and stabbed two of your kids, I think you're going to get a better description than that, don't you think? But if she was an 8-year-old little girl and she opened her eyes in the middle of the night and saw her stepdad standing there, I wonder if he was wearing a baseball cap and a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. That's my theory. I think she was having a nightmare that she was being sexually assaulted. And I think that she, keep in mind, that afternoon she spent time in anger. She spent time sharpening her kitchen knives. And her kitchen wasn't that far away from where she was sleeping. I think she fought off who she thought in her mind was her rapist. And I think when she fought off the rapist, she was actually stabbing her own children without realizing it. Just my opinion. Star Mama says, "Hello to all of my favorite lurkers. I have a good idea who most of you are." I wonder if Phony Phoebe watches us for content. I'm not sure. As I said to her in the chat, I'll say it here again. To Phony Phoebe, kiss my ass. If you guys haven't watched the Kim and Crafton video that they put up tonight, take a look at it because they show how easy it is for the scumbag attackers to create smack. They showed how easy it is to create their own receipts or screenshots or whatever. So think about that. You know what we were talking about earlier about the new definition of harassment, I guess, is for somebody to post an opinion about a true crime case. But think about all the screenshots that are being sent around and, oh, look at what somebody said, right? Yet they can create it all by themselves in seconds. Think about that. Think about how the attack started 3 years ago. The scumbag attackers were actually creating fake posts, and then they were sending those posts around saying, look at what she said. And now 3 years later, a channel which proudly hosts one scumbag attacker after another, now they're just now getting around to acting shocked by the Crafton and Kim video? Really? I think they already knew damn well. And I don't mean Kim and Crafton. I'm talking about the Natasha channel. I think they already knew damn well how those screenshots are made, because I think they've taken part in creating screenshots when they want to show, receipts, right? Private Pirate says, I don't know who Phoebe is. She's the one who says things like, oh, I had a really good career, and now I have this YouTube channel, and I just want everybody to get along and to feel safe, and I don't want anyone picking on anybody at all. Unless it's her being a bitch to others. Then that's okay. Sandy says, well, Bobs, I'm going to head to bed. It was great chatting with you all. Have a good one and stay safe, everyone. Susie says, good night, Sandy. And I'm going to go ahead and say good night to you guys. It is time for bed. So everybody have a great day tomorrow. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll do this again soon. In the next couple of days, we'll bebop right back on and talk some more. Hey, here's a name we haven't seen yet. Hey, Marcia. Well, we haven't seen you tonight. So on that note, Marcia Kirby said, oh, Susie says good night, Grandma. Good night, John Boy. And Marcia Kirby says good night.